Back with David Letterman. In the definitive book about the transfer of power on The Tonight Show and your move from NBC to CBS, it was written that David Letterman felt he had to reinvent himself for the 11:30 time period, that he had to do something different from what he did at 12:30. Did you consciously go through a process in which you said, here is how I'm going to be different, or did you just walk out and do what came naturally?
Well, you know, we considered it at length because that seemed to be something that people were questioning us about and talking a great deal about. Well, you know, the show barely worked at 12:30. How the hell is it going to work at 11:30? And so we considered it. We'd have meetings and we'd take a rundown from the old show and we'd sit there. Well, what about this? Can we still do this? What about that? Can we? And pretty much, with the exception of some cosmetic changes, in tone and attitude, I think we're doing the same show. We were very fortunate in that the facility that we came to, the Ed Sullivan Theater, presented all manner of new opportunities and endless source material, things to explore and to exploit. So that helped a great deal, I think, in reinforcing the impression that we had done some reinventing. But the truth of it is, the only actual things that, when it came down to, we decided to change the kind of clothing that I wore, and which may be something, Tom, you want to think about. And we also...
Don't start up with me on clothing or hair, pal.
And we also increased the size of the band. Beyond that, there was not a great deal of forethought or conscious effort to make any changes.
Let me ask you about the press that's written about The Late Show with David Letterman, which since August of 1993 has been phenomenal. And then after the Oscar program, it began to change. And it almost seemed as if the press was piling on David Letterman. And the press was writing stories that somehow Dave had lost the magic and that he wasn't as sharp or as good as he used to be.
Well...
what effect, if any, did that have upon your outlook or your attitude?
Well, first of all, you're right. We've been very fortunate with this show, and most of my public life, we've been very, very lucky. And I found what you described to be very interesting, because while it's clearly more fun to have really 100% nice things written about you day in and day out, you only learn things about yourself when there's some kind of trouble. And I never could bring myself to read the glowing reviews and positive things that people were saying, because I felt like, well, this means that the person writing this piece either really agrees with everything I'm doing or is just pretending to agree with everything I'm doing. Right. So when people write negative things about you, what you have to do, of course, is get beyond any kind of hurt feelings that might cause, and take a look at it. And that's the only way that I learn things about myself, only way I learn things about the job we're doing. So overall, I found it to be really very interesting. But how big a factor is it in my life? Not really. If somebody has something legitimate and honest and critical to say about the work that I'm doing, absolutely, I'm fine with that, because, of course, like most everybody drawing breath on this globe, I'm not infallible. So I guess the answer to your question is I found it very interesting, and I think in many, many ways very beneficial, because you're doing a nightly television show and we're a work in progress, and if we lose sight of something, you know, by all means it should be called to our attention. Again, going back to just looking at it in terms of the fiscal responsibility here, you know, we ought to be doing the best job we can, and if people can help us out by criticizing the show or me, I don't have a problem with that. I really think, and I guess anybody who's been alive for any length of time knows this, you only really learn things when there's trouble. And so it's been, from that standpoint, a really good experience for us.
When you say you learn things when there's trouble, does that mean that there has been trouble?
The trouble that you referenced regarding you know, criticism in the press and so forth.
Not reference to changes in staff on The Late Show, the departure of Hal Gurney?
No, well, Hal Gurney has been with me since, I guess, 1980, 15 years, and I can't say enough good, wonderful things about this man. This is the guy that I always wanted to be. He's smart, he's funny, he's talented, he's a gentleman, he's experienced things in his life that I would not wish on others, and has come through always with grace and dignity and a sense of humor. So Hal's departure, we're going to miss Hal as a person and, of course, as a director. But as he told me when he talked about quitting, when we hired him on the morning show back in 1980, he had already retired then. So here's a guy who for me, had postponed his retirement for 15 years, and I'll never forget anything that Hal has ever done for us, and he's going to remain with the company, and we're very happy about that. But good Lord, I envy this man and what he and his life have ahead of him.
Speaking of the company for which I work and which you run, Worldwide Pants, how much time do you devote to your duties as a television mogul in charge of the production not only of these 2 late-night programs at CBS, but a Bonnie Hunt sitcom which will run on CBS this fall, and other programs in development? You know, you almost wear 2 hats here, broadcaster and executive producer and mogul. How do you handle the mogul part? Dave Letterman, mogul.
I think my mogul hat needs blocking. I have very little to do with it. I want to say something here that I guess is going to sound self-serving, but I feel like this is something that I've really felt for a long, long time. I couldn't, we're very lucky to be in a position to have a small production company, and I couldn't be more proud of you and your staff and the people that put that show on every day, because it's turned out great, and I'm very, very flattered and excited about that. I feel the same way with Bonnie Hunt and Rob Burnett with the work they've done on that show. We had another show called Emmett and Earl, which services are being held for that tomorrow. But,
hey, Dave, some you win, some you lose.
But the people behind that show, a guy named Adam Resnick, who's been with us for years and years, it did a terrific job, and I'm so proud of the efforts that all of these people have done. And Robert Morton was key among those for Emmett and Earl, and also very proud of.
What did Morty mess that one up?
No.
Okay.
He did a fine job, and
I thought when I heard you say tonight, must kill Morty, that something.
And also the work that our staff did last week when we were in London. To me, in an answer to your question, I have very little to do with all of this. I show up 2 or 3 times a week. You know, they sober me up and put me in a suit, and that's about it. And the rest of this is so gratifying because we have attracted and been able to maintain relationships with just wonderful people who have done and day in and day out a great job for us. So the answer to the question is I don't have much to do with it, but I certainly am proud of the benefits.
If I could keep you for 5 more minutes, I would be even more in your debt. I have to do a fast break. Back with David Letterman from the Ed Sullivan Theater.